Okay, so that was a live broadcast video. So here is a link to that video itself. So if you guys want to go back and view that video later, you can. The really cool thing about live broadcasts, I used it last week to do a Zoom training session, is that if you go back and click on the link that was sent to you for the actual session, you can actually still see that video. Once you've actually finished a live broadcasting, if you come into your team's calendar, I'm going to go to one I did like earlier already. So that's the one that I did last week. And this is the one that I did last week for the IT Power Hour. If I click here, I can see the resources. So this is where I can find the recording as well as the attendee engagement report. So once I download all these, I'll get a little box window up here, but if you don't get that box window, just go to your downloads and you'll see that stuff here. So here, that same recording, I already downloaded and renamed it and moved it somewhere else. But I can also access the attendee reports. And the attendee report shows me everyone who's joined, when they joined and left, what times they did that. And it shows everyone who actually joined the meeting in its entirety. Okay. It's pretty helpful for reporting and other information. Okay. So pretty much you can go back to your previous meeting and find that information. I'm gonna close this out. Okay, so that's pretty much live broadcast. Okay. All right. So next thing we have is sorry, I skipped ahead a little bit too much, is Teams channels. So I'm going to go over the Teams channels. Essentially, Teams channels are really great to minimize like the amount of emails, and it increases interaction. As you notice recently, this was something that we started using a lot since we've been working from home. You'll see a lot more invites to a lot more channels and a lot more action going on in those channels. So I'm just gonna switch right over to Teams and show you guys the channels. So on your panel here, you'll see a lot of different options. I'm going to click on Teams. So here are the different teams that I have. So these are teams. And then when you hit the little arrow, these are the channels within the teams. So you may have some hidden channels that not everyone sees. And then you have like a general channel that goes to that team itself. So if I wanted to, I'm going to click on, let's see, here, general. Okay, so to post in an actual channel, you can post by just typing in whatever you want down here. Or if you want to post in multiple channels, just click on the little A. You see the little formatting A over here in the corner. Just click on that. And post. And so essentially you can type your post. You can also come in here and select multiple channels. So I can select whatever channel I want. I'm going to choose that in help desk in general. So once you select them, you can go ahead and just submit, and it'll post to both of those channels. You can also do something else where you can turn it into an actual announcement. So if you click on new conversation here, you can turn it into announcement where you can have a headline, a lot more information. It's a lot more like in your face, like here. So it's really cool. You can also add pictures to it if you want. You can do that as well. So that's pretty cool. So announcements is really great, especially if you guys are doing large events. Another thing too, so like right now we use we use Zoom client to do like our weekly happy hours. If we want it, we can just come into the Creative Official, which is the Creative HQ group, and we can come under General. And if we want, we can just come in here and we can start a new meeting. I'm going to show from my group or from the hidden channel. Okay. So I'm just going to discard that post. And I'm deleting that other post. And as you can see here, I'm deleting a post that I did earlier from an earlier training. And essentially what I'm doing is I'm removing this message from all 3 channels and just delete. If I don't want to remove it from all 3 channels, I could just remove it from this particular channel and just uncheck this box and it'll just delete that one. But I'm going to go ahead and do all of them. Okay. All right. That's cool. So what I'm going to do is I want to do a new meeting with everyone that's in that channel. I'll just click meet now. Turn off video. Then I can do meet now, or I can schedule a meeting as well. If I do meet now, what's going to happen is all those people that are in that channel will then be suggested to join that meeting. I'm just going to do that so it doesn't pop up on everyone's feed. All right, so then those people can then join the meeting from that channel itself. Okay. Okay. Okay, invite others to your group. So the next thing I'm going to show you guys is how to invite other people to these particular channels or to your group. So you can invite people by clicking here and you can, onto your group itself. And you can click here and you can add members. When you add a member, you just type in their name and then it'll give them the ability to be able to join your meeting. So I'm going to show you guys that. But essentially, that's pretty much it on that part of it. Okay, email channel, pin channel, and add notifications. Okay, so next I'm going to show you guys, if you wanted to email one of your channels, what you would do is you would just click here and you can select the option to get email address. Once you get the email address and you post to your channel, let me post. All right, let me make sure I post to the right channel. I want to post to this channel here since no one's really in it. So I'm going to copy that. Go here. Type in the email address. So I'm just going to send that off. And now if I go back here, let's see, it should pop up in just a second. Okay. But while I wait for that to pop up, the other thing I want to show you is how to pin a channel. Oh, there we go. That was quick. All right, so here's the actual message that I emailed to that channel and then post as an actual message. So I can either go back and view that original email. All right, so I can open it up. Or I could just see it in the channel itself. Okay. Hidden channels. Okay, so let me just delete this here. Okay. So if there's a channel, so there's been a channel that I really like, which is Pets at Work. So if I really like this particular channel, but I don't necessarily always want to have to break down through all these groups to find the one that I was looking for. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go in here and I'm going to pin that channel. Once I pin that channel, it doesn't matter which group it's in. I'll then be able to see it at the top very quickly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pin all the groups that I really want to be able to see right away. And so then it lists them and it shows me, so if there's a couple of different general groups, it'll show you general and it'll be color coded as well. So I'll see general and then I'll see the IMT team here. And so that's the general channel from the IMT channel, IMT group. And then add notifications. So if you want to edit notifications, so for these particular groups, I can edit the notifications. So I'm going to hit channel notifications when I click on my three dots here. And I can then change the notifications. So I can change this to show and feed. It may be currently set to off. I think it was set to off, but I changed earlier. So if you want, you can go in and change it however you choose. So you can set it to show in your feed. And that way, whenever people post things to it, it'll show in your feed under your activity. Okay. And then, I already showed you guys how to start the meeting with the channel. Essentially, to do that, you would just click here under Meet Now. And you can also play around with all these little features down here. You can add different stickers. You can add different GIFs. You can add emotions. It's really cool. It's a lot of different things you can do with the conversation itself inside of Teams. And if you want, you can even come in under Forms and select, start a new poll. So if you wanted to send out a poll of questions, you can do that here from Forms without actually having to go into the application itself. You just delete all these little posts. All right, so pretty much I just covered all these here. So that's Teams channels, and that's pretty much how they function. What I'm going to go into next is just a couple of small things, which is team settings in the background, as well as a couple of different Outlook settings. So for the team settings, I'm going to go over the delegation of calls, managing emails, call routing, and your status. For Outlook, I'm going to, which is totally unrelated to Teams, but a lot of people brought up these to my attention, which is turning off the Windows notifications in the background, as well as following groups in your emails to get those emails in your inbox directly. So let me just go right into that. So team settings. So if you want to get to your team settings, what you would do is you're going to click into Teams and you're going to go into your picture at the top right hand corner. It doesn't matter which tab you're on, you'll still see this picture in the top right hand corner. If I click on the picture in the top right hand corner, this is where I can update my status. So instead of getting those messages popping up or calls popping up, I put myself in do not disturb mode. Once I put myself in do not disturb mode, essentially I should get no more pop-ups from Teams or any calls from Teams while I'm actually doing anything at all. Okay, so right now I'm not using Teams, I'm not presenting in Teams, so I'm just putting myself in do not disturb mode. So if someone calls me, it doesn't interrupt what we're currently doing right now. So that's pretty much your status and how you can control that. If you come down past status, you have an option for settings. So there's a couple of different things you guys can do with settings. The first thing is delegation. So you can actually delegate someone to make and receive calls on your behalf. The difference between delegation and Teams and Zoom is with Teams, technically you don't need to delegate anyone access to start it or to start a meeting for you, because if you are if you're whoever you invite to the meeting. So if I create the meeting and I invite several other people, those people can still join and have a meeting without me physically being present, as long as they have a Teams account. So technically you don't need delegation for meetings itself. So if you have a meeting, as long as those people are invited and they have the link, then you don't need to do anything else. Everyone can join and leave a meeting as they please when you actually have a Teams account. Down here under delegation, if you click on delegation for your phone calls and you want to add someone, what you would do is go in here. So I'm going to add Raphael as an example because he's my test. Okay. Once I click on his name, I can then select what I want him to be able to do. I can select the option for him to add or change my delegation settings, which I'm going to uncheck that. And then I can select the option for him to make calls, which I'm going to uncheck that. If you want someone to just receive your calls, then just select the option to receive calls, and you can add them. Once you add them, then they can be able to see that they've been delegated access, as well as the people that they support here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove delegation, but you can also edit permissions here as well. And that's pretty much delegation. Okay, so I move this over, make sure I don't skip anything. Okay. Email notifications. Okay, so if you go under notifications here, there are a lot of different notifications you'll see that pop up. One of the notifications that used to be really annoying is the banner and email for chat messages. So like every time someone would send me a chat message, whether I saw it in my notifications and I didn't open up Teams, it's still showing it as a unread message because I didn't physically open it up or open up Teams. So what happens after like an hour or two is I get an email saying that person sent me a message inside of Teams and for me to go in and view it or for me to view it from my email. I may not necessarily want those emails because then they just become a little annoying. So then I'm just going to turn that off and just do a banner. Banner means that I'm just going to get the actual banner down here in the bottom right hand corner showing that someone sent me the message, but I'm not necessarily going to get an email showing me that that person has sent me a message in Teams. So I'm going to turn that off. And there are also other ones you guys can do. And essentially, every one you click on is going to have a few different options. So you select what you want that notification to be. Call routing. So quickly, I'm going to go to devices first. So under devices, the same thing that you guys could do in a meeting, you can do from settings, which is you can test your devices. So if you're having an issue with your microphone or your speakers, you can just come here and select what you want to be able to use. So if it's not selected to the right device, you can change that here. You can also make a test call. So if you make a test call, it'll kind of help you walk you through what's going on with your audio. Okay. Call routing. Okay. So call routing. If you click on calls here under settings, you'll have some different options. This is where you guys can go to configure your voicemail. But not only can you configure your voicemail from here, you can also do other things like forward your calls. So if you want, you can forward your calls to your voicemail or you can forward them to another person. Or if you want, you can do where your calls ring on your device and someone else's. So if you don't want to do delegation and you just need something set up temporarily, what you can do is you can come in here and say calls ring to me, and they also ring to someone else. And I can have someone. These people are here because I've typed in the numbers or names before. But if I go to new name and contact, I could just type in anyone's name at all. It doesn't matter who they are. Like so, I'm gonna type in Farah, and any of them will pop up. Okay, so they can be anyone who has a Teams account that's in our organization, and you can also do it to an actual phone number itself. Um, if you come down here, you can also select if you unanswer your call, you can select to go to voicemail, all those things. One thing that happened last week was when someone had it set up like this, where it was set to ring to no one else, and if unanswered, it goes to voicemail. But this right here, where it says ring for how many seconds before redirecting, was set to 0. Even though that option isn't here, that's what it was set to. If you're having issues with your phone ringing or your Teams calls coming through, come in here and check under your settings and you just make sure these things are set up correctly. And if you're having issues, try to call your Teams number from a personal line to test out and see what's going on. And then down here, you guys can change your ringtones and other cool stuff like that. All right, so I'm going to switch over real quick. That's it with the team settings. The one thing that I want to show you guys real quick before we exit is the notification sounds inside of Outlook. So one of the things that people brought up to my attention was really annoying that when they're on calls sometimes when they have these notifications, I don't have any up right now, but when they have the notifications that they're seeing, that they're pretty much seeing everything. They're hearing everything. So whenever people send them an email, they're hearing these dings in the background. It gets pretty annoying. If you want to stop that, then what you would do is you just come over to File inside of Outlook and go to Options. And in Options, under Mail, There's an option here that says play a sound. Right now mine is unchecked, but yours may be checked off. What this will do is this will stop the sound from playing when you receive a message. And if you go down to advanced, there's an option for you to uncheck the sound, play the sound for reminders. So you can turn these two options off, and this will allow you guys to not hear those dings in the background when you're actually having a meeting or at all, period. Um, and last but not least is groups in your inbox. So recently we made an update to the HQ group. So that email address is changed. So here, Creative Official is the new HQ group. That's not the email address. The email address is hq@creativedc.com. So this is a new distribution group that they've created, so that way it's more in line of working well with Teams as well as Outlook. It's just an updated distribution group. So if you're having issues with receiving emails from this particular group, then what you need to do is click on Groups and then go to Creative Official and then come up here under your Home tab, click on Group Settings. Once you click on Group Settings, if you want them in your inbox, follow in inbox, do all emails and events. Okay. And you can do this to other groups you see here as well. So if you're not receiving emails directly to your inbox and you're missing these emails, then you may want to come to these group settings and make sure they're checked off for emails and events for your inbox. Okay. So that's pretty much it. I don't have anything else. Now we're just down to questions. So if you guys don't have any questions, that's going to be pretty much the end of the session. I'm going to just chime in and see if I have anything at all. So again, just so you guys are aware, as you saw when I created this meeting and when I started the session, I did invite my Gmail account. So anyone from the outside can join a Teams meeting just like they can a Zoom meeting. There's really no difference whatsoever other than just with the meeting functions Intel itself. All right, so that's pretty much it. If you guys don't have any other questions, I'm going to go ahead and stop this recording, and that's going to be it.